Alright, so I'm up here, one of the northern Hebridean islands in Scotland, and we found this place. So, you can live in a shack. We got a nice communal area up here, and the stone of truth occupies the center. And all kinds of infrastructure here that's shared, and then private little homes for people to rest in. That's awesome. I've already bumped into a couple of people getting their morning going. I think what I just love about places like this is how you can experience what it was like to live as part of a tribe back in the day. So we had, a very nice interaction last night where we went into the communal area. We met a bunch of people. You can see here all the resources that are shared. We've got the fires, the kitchen, the showers, and then private huts. Down here, and that's where you're going to get your privacy, and then the central area is where you get in the community. Got a bunch of solar power, got grass top roofs. It's just beautiful. It's such an incredible place for people to kind of gather. And I'm reflecting on a lot of my 20s was spent in communal settings. So a great example of this is when I first went to university at Edinburgh, and you can see up there, welcome to the stream, and you have shared kitchens but private rooms. But then when I went to San Francisco, really couldn't afford much else. It was so expensive. So I was always staying in communal homes, and this was where I met just a bunch of the people who are now, really cool, close friends. A lot of people who are trying to figure things out, trying to make their way in the world, and who, like me, couldn't afford a full-time flat in the Bay Area, which was always, even back then, was trending towards $2,000 to $3,000 a month for a flat. And now, any decent flat is $3,000 to $4,000 a month, which is crazy. Because of the amount of demand and people who are working in AI and working in tech want to be there. And now I'm about as far away from that as you can possibly imagine, and the only people I've got on this stream with me are a bunch of cows. So it's funny to be here. Yeah, and welcome to the stream, people who are commenting. Well, it's one way of putting it in the Bay Area. You could say it's ridiculous, but I also think it's very understandable. The previous generation have built no new homes. Meanwhile, we've built all these companies worth trillions of dollars. So a one-bedroom flat for $4,000 a month is terrible if you view it from a normal job's point of view, but if you view it from the point of view of a tech worker in Silicon Valley, it makes a lot of sense. But yeah, I certainly couldn't afford that for my 20s, so I was always living in communal homes. And what I love about this setup where I've just been staying is it's like a kind of communal gathering zone with private little huts around, and then we're not that far from the beach. So you can see people waking up, getting their walk in. Morning. There we go. That's the farmer, and here are the cows. So yeah, my kind of definition internally of communal architecture is this idea of intense privacy when you need it and community when you want it. So a private bedroom where you can stay, but maybe a shared kitchen where you work together. And obviously some people can't view this as maybe it's just flatmates, but it goes further when the whole structure of the building is built around community. So in Denmark, they have communal childcare areas and communal eating areas, but you have very private little homes where you can kind of be your own family. So it's kind of privacy mixed with community. And I think maybe that's what I see is missing quite a lot in American architecture, is this idea of this kind of tribal combination of community and privacy. A lot of the times I see Americans just wanting their single family home, their own flat where they live, and it's very solitary, and it leads to this kind of isolationist way of living that I don't think is very natural. And so I'm really searching out examples of kind of communal architecture, communal living, communal spaces, and examples in America of where groups of people are living together, sharing some resources, keeping some things private, because I'd love to hear about it. I see a lot in retirement communities kind of have this right in Florida, where there are all these places where people can gather and bump into each other and have all kinds of fun. And I think this is really done well in a lot of universities and student living and places like that. But it's perhaps in the middle, right, where you get into child rearing in America, or when you start a family or things like that, it can be very solitary and people are on their own. Yeah, I'd love to welcome everybody in, everybody who's tuning in. Love to hear from you. Thanks for checking out. I'm currently in the Northern Hebridean Islands of Scotland. I'm a British man, but I work in California, and I'm just kind of sharing on YouTube and streaming my thoughts and ideas because it's been fun. Got a little. No matter how far you go, you can still find a Starbucks coffee, which is fantastic. I'm walking to the beach, but it's not much of a view right now, just on the water. 92% of your face is forehead. Well, Sonny Bourgeois, I don't see any photo of your face, so I can't come back at you. And that's what happens when you sweep your hair back. Hey, I'm not picky about my coffee when I'm in the Northern Hebridean Islands and everything's closed, so I'll take it. I think that's a very good point. America, by definition, has kind of succeeded as an individualist society. And in Asia and in Africa, everything's a lot more communal by default. But I do think Americans are feeling this sense that something's wrong with the way their cities are designed. Whenever they travel to Europe, they feel this level of relaxation. They enjoy the food, they enjoy the communal spaces, they enjoy the kind of gathering and watering holes and the cafes. And I think there's some kind of shining beacons of light. In the Bay Area, we have this place called the Neighborhood. We have a bunch of blocks of flats that are designed with 3 or 4 communal floors, and these things are really special. And then the communal house or shared housing situation in the Bay Area is pretty amazing because everything's just unaffordable otherwise. Like you wouldn't be able, as a young person who's not getting a big tech job, to kind of get your foot in the door without some kind of shared living situation. And so I want to kind of really drive home that this goes beyond just having flatmates, right? Like a lot of people experience having flatmates, and that can be almost too intimate because the key, I think, is noise privacy, right? Like having some silence from the other people that you're sharing space with, being able to kind of, quite frankly, make love and be loud as you want, make a coffee and be loud as you want, watch TV and be loud as you want, while also balancing kind of communal spaces and communal demands can be really tricky. And the other thing is that I can say this does work in a lot of other countries. In Denmark, you can visit these shared spaces where you have 10 families around, right? And all the kids are playing in the middle. There's a giant shared kitchen. They do rotations on cooking. And people are extremely happy in this kind of middle-income housing that's very communal. And this is just not true, I think, of these endless suburbias that trap young families into this kind of existence where they feel a bit lonely, and the child rearing is all on the mother, or all on the child care system, or all on the the kind of family unit. The tribal unit is incredibly hard to locate. So that's really what I've been searching for on my travels, is examples of tribal communal living, architecture and design and pop-ups and all kinds of different things. And this is taking me to the Network State Conference in Singapore later this month, which I'm really excited about, because this is a group of people who want to build new cities, build Yeah. I've seen the network school. Thank you, conformist. I know who you are, but whoever your avatar is, that's very cool. I'm going to go to the Network State Conference and check out Network School and just see all these people who are trying to build new kinds of places, new ways of living, new kinds of ways for people to gather and work and learn and share things. I would say, conformists, even if you don't get in for it, you should just show up to the Network State Conference. I believe it's the 22nd of September. And even if you don't get into Network School, that's after the Network State Conference, you should just come along and be around Singapore for that time, because there's going to be this giant collection of people who are doing things about building new kinds of cities, building new kinds of towns, and it's really, really special. Look at this, fantastic. Yeah, I just think it's going to be a great gathering of people, and that's really what I'm focused on a lot now is how can I show up for people more in person? How can I do more things in the physical world? How can I help people out who are kind of on their quest? And it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. We're on this kind of global tour at the moment where we check out places for inspiration, and you can't get much more remote than the Northern Hebridean Islands. Just got some cows with me on my morning walk. I'm about to have a little morning swim, which is gonna feel good. Here's the boat. Yeah. So, yeah, I'd be curious if anybody is comfortable sharing where in the world you've been checking in from, because I'd love to hear if you know of any examples where you live, where you see young families, right? Like the biggest, most terrifying thing about the Bay Area, there are no young families. Like, you don't see any children. They're all sequestered away in self-driving cars or Teslas, ferried off to little private schools while the big dogs try and figure it all out. And it's just a little bit sad. Like, you just don't meet kids, and it's very sad. It's very like solitary. And also, I'd be curious if there are any parents who are watching. Love to hear from you. Yeah. So we're now at a beach in North Uist, which is an island off the Hebrides, which is the north of Scotland, north of the UK. So yeah, we've made it. Let's get to the water. Jenny, children are super expensive, and that I think is the biggest problem, right? Every single one of my friends who talks about kids, they just talk about the money instead of the happiness, and I think that's the biggest problem. From Sweden, very walkable kids. Yeah, Sweden has it right. Yeah, it's pretty beautiful there, and they really understand architecture and design and taste. So here we are. There's nothing better than the sound of nature on nature, really. You know, when you just hear water lapping on the shore, that calms the brain. Psychologically, emotionally, time. Yes, Jenny, but as much as you might say kids are tough, what exactly else are you going to do with the rest of your life? I really think that most people who are worried about having kids, it's pretty solitary and sad, because I think you'll really miss it. I wonder what the shades. Oh yes, here you go. Now you can see I'm just holding up this giant iPad. This is what I've been working from and streaming from. Oh, Franco from South Africa. Spend a lot of time there. Not a parent as well. Juvie psych nurse. Yeah. Look, I'm not a parent, so I'm not going to comment until I am. But the one thing I will say is, everyone I meet who's over 40 is who doesn't have kids, I think seems to regret it. So I'm really looking forward to starting a family, and I'm thinking a lot about where I want to raise my kids, and that's where this brain kind of dump is coming from, or this set of thoughts. So here we go. Oh, look at that, fantastic, amazing. Just want to share this with you. This place is a vibe. I feel like I'm in some kind of misty part of the simulation. So I think a question I keep going back to is, where are the places where kids can still have an adventure, right? Where are the places where kids can still have fun? Where are the places that kids can still just be kids, really? And and have a bit of a laugh. Some of the places I think that's possible are areas around Cape Town, parts of England where you have a right to roam that's coming in. I think that's really coming back. The right to roam will really change what it's like to be for a child. I think there's certain places in the Netherlands that are very communal, particularly around the beach clubs. There's lots of places for kids to play that people can kind of share the load of childbearing there a lot. But yeah, and I think that there's some communities in Northern California, north of San Francisco, that are off the grid and very wholesome. But those are the only ones I've found. So if anybody else knows of any places where they would imagine they would love to grow up as a child, I'd love to hear from you, because I'm on this kind of tour searching for it. Yeah, I think that's a great point, Jenny. Accessing a city is valuable. So yeah, and that's kind of how I grew up, in a place south of Norwich. So I was about 20 minutes from the city, but I was kind of surrounded by nature, and that was pretty optimal, where you had the fun with your friends, and but then you could quickly dip in. And hearing about the different places that my friends are deciding to move for their young families, it's fascinating, right? Their priorities are totally shifting, and they're thinking a lot about what matters for this next generation. And that's what I'm thinking about a lot. That's what I care about deeply, is seeing my friends be able to kind of take that next step from being kind of young couples to young families. And it's a lot of fun. Here we go. Oh, it's brilliant. I'm just going to walk in the water a little bit. Oh, that is the best. Oh, amazing. It does sound good, doesn't it? Oh, there we go. Just those patterns. It's nice to capture those. It's nice to share them with you. Have a little frolic. So I grew up mostly on the beaches. That's where I grew up. My father got me into kite surfing, and that was the best thing ever. To be able to ride on the ocean, ride the water, get around the different beaches of Norfolk and the UK, chase the wind, be fully in there. It was incredible. And it's how can I put this? It's something that I always knew was very valuable to me, but I didn't realize how valuable it was until I went into this digital realm that we're occupying now. The contrast of the technological and the natural is so interesting to me. The feeling you get of kind of walking around in the real world, doing things in the real world, and then moving your mind to the digital world. It's kind of like this transition from the 2D to the 3D. And we're in this kind of 2D hallucination most of our days. And then we step out into the three-dimensional reality, and it's just so much easier to think. I see this a lot with the kids who are kind of building things in Minecraft, right? Like, Minecraft is a three-dimensional world where the kids are hanging out, hiding from the two-dimensional Facebook. And I see this in the streaming gathering, right? Just hanging out and streaming together and vibing on games. I see this, like, lots of attempts to recreate this tribal existence using digital technology. But man, there really is nothing better than getting together with your community and exploring nature together. And that's another thing that I'm very much excited to start putting together is gatherings around the world. So the first one I want to do is in Cape Town. We're going to all be around Cape Town for the new year. So if anybody wants to come hang out, you're super welcome. And it'd be lovely to kind of meet you out there. That's going to be the first major gathering. Woo! And that's where my focus is now, is trying to create physical space, create points in time and space where people want to gather together in person. Because as fun as this is, and I'm thoroughly enjoying just chatting with you all on this walk, this is nowhere near as good as if all of you were here with me right now. And I would love it if you were all staying up in the Hebrides and we could go exploring today and we could cook food together and could make you a better coffee than this. You give me a little bit of time. But unfortunately, this is the next best thing when everybody's still asleep. Yeah. So I'd love to hear and talk more about where are the best places in the world you've been? Where are the places in the world where you felt part of a community? Where are the places in the world where you felt you were living in a kind of natural way? Maybe it was camping. Maybe it was on a holiday in a kind of hotel that had lots of shared spaces. Maybe it was, when you were a student, when you were living in dorms. A lot of Americans, for instance, report the happiest time of their lives as being when they were a student. And I think that's because they weren't necessarily worrying about the bills, and then they were living in a kind of walkable community. And I think we're starting to really value those walkable opportunities, those walkable communities, those walkable, livable places. Oh, look at that. Woo! Brilliant. Yeah. Yeah, I strongly recommend everybody visit Cape Town once before you die. Whilst you're on this world, you gotta do it, because Cape Town truly is the mother city. It is absolutely magical. The combination of energy of the people, energy of the two oceans colliding, energy of the mountain, energy of nature. I think it's still, I've traveled all the world and I still think it's my favorite place on planet Earth. In terms of just the overall vibe, the combination of the urban and the natural. It's a real immigrant city. A lot of people are moving there. A lot of people are trying to make their way in the world. A lot of things are changing. It's very exciting. So, yeah, if you ever can visit Cape Town, try and do it once before you die, because it's a pretty special part of this planet. All right, there's some houses down here. What a place. What a place to have. Yeah. Alrighty. Okay, let's have a look at some of these comments. NYC Bell. Yeah, it's pretty cool here. St. Augustine, Florida. Visit Cape Town. Alright, well, this has been fun. I'm not sure I have any more to say on this topic, so I'm going to keep it focused. And I've already rambled a fair bit, but thank you for checking in. Always welcome to check out the videos, comment, say hello, subscribe, and if that calls you, because then we can continue this conversation. I'm just trying to stream a few times a week, and I'm just exploring YouTube and seeing what it feels like to share thoughts on the internet in video format. And I'm saying goodbye to you from North Uist in Scotland. This has been fun. Wish you all well. Have a lovely day. Bye-bye.